It's a big question, but I'm just going to throw it at you and let you go with it.
Well, I'll just say the draft is almost an afterthought. They don't have a first or a second rounder. They're going to be sitting there twiddling their thumbs on their phones until the 93rd pick in the third round. That's when they get into action, and they only have 5 picks in this draft. So I'm not expecting a lot from them, and I'm not expecting them to be active on the trade front to move back into the draft. I think their focus is on what's to come beyond the draft, and that is free agency. And here we are getting down to the 11th hour. It looks like Elias Lindholm is going to test free agency, so he's not going to be back. They paid a fair price, including this year's first rounder, to get him from Calgary. He was good in the playoffs, but turns out that he's just going to be a rental. Nikita Zadorov, another player that they picked up from the Flames earlier in the season. Love affair here with the fan base, and the way that he played in the playoffs, he was terrific. You don't find 6'6", 235-pound mobile defenseman just around the corner, so they've got one, but he's a free agent, and if the Canucks can't meet his needs, he's going to test the market as well. Dakota Joshua was a nice pickup a couple of years ago, late bloomer, big power forward, would have scored 20 if he hadn't been hurt for 18 games, and a big part of their penalty kill. Like, he'll get some traction on the open market as well, and I'm not sure that the Canucks are going to be able to retain him. And so, these are their issues that, look, they won 50 games, 109 points. They won the Pacific Division in the regular season, but they're in a division with the Edmonton Oilers. They're in a division with the Vegas Golden Knights. And so it's always going to be difficult. You know how competitive the Golden Knights are. Certainly you, of all people, have been following them since their inception, Rod. They're not going to take lightly to getting punted in the first round of the playoffs. And so something tells me that they'll be busy here in the offseason, and the Oilers aren't going anywhere. And in fact, they may be more motivated than ever now to do what Florida did, which was get to the final and then get back there and get it right the second time around.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
I was born to broadcast. So the World Juniors, 2012, I'm calling the national radio feed. I was sitting there in the press box of the Saddle Dome like this, playing Pac-Man on my phone. Ray Ferraro, he's like, "Are you kidding me?" And I'm like, "What are you doing?" "I'm playing Pac-Man on my phone." "I just died." And he goes, "Don't you have game prep to get ready for the game or something?" "No, I know the numbers. I know everything about them. Let's get the game going."
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. Coming in hot on a Wednesday. Very special day because we're alive. Episode number 1274 of your favorite daytime sports talk show is at hand. I'm here with the Golden Ticket Sports Center. Moose is in Toronto, and he joins us. And Darrin, I'm very, very happy because I'm choosing to be happy. These are the kinds of days that make you feel alive. How are you doing? I'll explain myself in a moment, but how are you doing, most importantly?
I'm doing great. Woke up on the right side of the bed, feet hit the floor, just like you, man. Sun shining, great day, and here we are. Yeah, I'm doing great.
Good stuff. Well, we certainly have a choice every day, but we've got some fun things to talk about today. Our guests are from Bonfire Sports Winnipeg. Darrin Bauming will be joining us to talk Bombers and some NHL. Jersey Jim's going to join us on his way from the Stanley Cup to the NHL Draft. Jersey Jim will join us from an airport somewhere. I think Clark said Dallas. And Jason Hajdu from College Hockey Inc. will join us in advance of the NHL draft this weekend. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please, Director Jordan? We'll get that out of the way. And I will say this. I'm supposed to be recording our Cats and Bolts podcast this afternoon. Let's just say Serena's unavailable, okay? So I've been on the phone. You might have heard me on some of the calls this morning. I'm talking to the Panthers people. I mean, they're up, man. I'm like, you guys come down to the studio and give me a hand. I'll be on the Zoom from Canada. You can be in the studio in Florida. And they're like, hey, we got an event this afternoon. Sorry, at the practice facility. It's go time, man. I don't think people really understand. It's go time for them. You know what I mean? But it's also summer, and it's just trying to bring that show together and this show together, and also dragging my butt a little bit because the baseball game I broadcast went almost 4 hours last night, Darrin. Lots of things are happening. Can you hit the horn again, Jordan? Hit it again, and let's go. I'll try to stay on point.
Bob's your uncle.
I do want to say this. I want to say thank you to all the people that have written in and have also come up to my face and said, I really love your show. You know that lady, Noni from Calgary? Get this one. She goes to the Millers game last night, Darrin. She's like, I went to the Rider game on the weekend. I'm driving back to Calgary, but I thought I would just stop in and come to the Millers game and come see you. And she stayed there last night through this extra inning game, 4-hour-long game. So if you enjoy the show, please don't keep it to yourself. Okay, so we have a lot of things to get to here today, which we do all the time. I got a couple NHL notes to open it up. Assistant captain Matthew Tkachuk said he was going to party for 3 days straight after his Florida Panthers beat the Oilers 2-1 Monday night to win the Stanley Cup for the first time for Florida. It looks like he might have to extend that celebration to Sunday because that's when the Stanley Cup parade will be. Sunday morning in Fort Lauderdale, ending up at a rally at Fort Lauderdale Beach Park. And then they call it the off-season, but NHL teams will be back to work today and this weekend to improve their futures. The buyout window opens today. The entry draft goes Friday, Saturday. And the salary cap is going up to $88 million U.S., a bigger jump than expected. So I know people want to get on with their summers, and we have summer sports to get to. But I'm all about this. I am quite enjoying it. Are you tired of the NHL or not? And not just you, but everybody. Are you tired of the NHL? Do you want a break, or are you okay with all of what's going on right now?
Yeah, I'm always okay with it, but we're going to get a break here soon. Typically, though, the Stanley Cup's wrapped up a little earlier. You get a little bit of a break to relax and to celebrate, and then you get ramped up again for the draft. They're going to go Stanley Cup, draft, brief pause for the parade, right into free agency. So we got about another, I would say, week, maybe 9-10 days, and then the NHL will go quiet until the end of September. So a little bit here, and then it'll ramp up for a while, or quiet for a while.
902-518-3033 to write in on the Sober Carpenter text line again. Are you tired of the NHL? Would you like it to go away? Or are you okay with this? Because quite frankly, I'm okay with this. But there are some things that are coming down the pipe. I mean, leftovers from Monday night Stanley Cup. You're seeing videos now, are you, from Spittin' Chicklets? I am. Where the guys were down on the ice, which shocked the hell out of me. They're up in the luxury suite getting boozed, and then they're down on the ice with NHL passes around their neck. Like, I was always encouraged to, or discouraged from that type of behavior, so I stopped. Now these guys are being celebrated doing it. But Sean Thornton, the president of business for the Panthers, did you see him getting in RA's face? He's like, get the hell out of here, you effing bandwagon jumper. And I was like, whoa, so they are paying attention. That's one. So the things are starting to trickle out from the chaos that was Game 7 on Monday night. And Spittin' Chicklets people are getting called on their stuff. And two, you have to understand, Darrin, because you have not spent the time in America that I have. This is a Canadian thing that's special. Making a mountain out of a molehill. That is a Canadian specialty, man, just like maple syrup and I don't know what, beaver tails. This Connor McDavid not coming out to accept the Conn Smythe, they're still talking about it today. Have you noticed? That should have probably been a poll question. Whose side are you on, Connor's or the NHL's or whatever? They're still talking about it. Have your thoughts changed, by the way?
My thoughts have not changed, but I have definitely been thinking about it, Rod, and I've been doing a minor amount of homework. And I say minor, I mean minor. I looked up a couple of YouTube videos, and I didn't really get what I was looking for. What I was looking for was the Conn Smythe being handed out to see what that looks like in the past. And I saw a video where it got handed out from 2000 all the way until whenever it was. And the only player that didn't win was J.S. Jaguar, right? A non-cup winning Conn Smythe winner. And I saw in the very tail end the shoulder of one of his teammates when he was carrying that trophy off. The shoulder of one of his teammates, which tells me kind of what you alluded to yesterday, that when the cup comes out and the Conn Smythe comes out, the losing team is on the blue line or is standing by their bench watching that presentation. And that's why J.S. Jaguar skated over and got the Conn Smythe trophy and got stick taps from his teammates. And then as the cup got handed out, the second it got handed out, the team left and let them celebrate, right? I think because the Oilers left the ice before any of this happened, and McDavid was the last guy off the ice, he wasn't coming back out by himself. And I wouldn't expect him to come out by himself. If you have a problem with it, it should be that you wish the Oilers as a team would stay out just until the cup hits Barkov's hands and then leave. But they didn't. So McDavid shouldn't have been asked to come back out after that.
Well, and by the way, I don't think it's a problem that we're making a mountain out of the molehill because I don't totally know the answer to this. We have a huge amount of viewers that are not only in Edmonton, but Oilers fans and former Oilers staff and players because they tell me. So I'm being very respectful to Connor McDavid here in that I'm willing to give him a pass if it matters what I think. It is the Rod Pedersen show. It says around here somewhere. So my opinion is there are different rules for different people. I know people think that that's not the case, but that is the case in life. So get used to it. Because it's Connor McDavid, he's the best player in the game, infinite amount of class, then we'll let him away with it. Probably a bigger problem with the fact that the Edmonton Oilers did not stay on the ice to see the cup handed out because that used to be a thing. Remember the World Juniors? Still to this day, the other team's getting their gold medals. They're singing the national anthem of the winning team. The other team stands on the blue line. It's about respect for the game and for your opponent and, to be honest, sportsmanship. So I'm not necessarily saying, I guess, in this case that the Oilers are poor sports. I'm not, or the McDavid. I don't know because who the hell am I? You know, I just sit here and yap about it for 2 hours a day on the show. So things are changing. I understand that. I just kind of go with it. I'm enjoying the debate, though, because there's three sides. McDavid's side, not McDavid's side, or me, where you don't really have an opinion. So anyways, moving on. Elevate your game at Golden Ticket Sports Center here in Moose Jaw, where passion meets performance. GoldenTicketSportsCenter.com. Dropping in on baseball, the visiting Toronto Blue Jays scored 7 runs in the third inning and then coasted to a 9-4 victory over the Boston Red Sox Tuesday night. Snapped a 7-game slide for the Jays. He got a 2-run homer from George Springer and 4 RBIs from Vladdy. In the WCBL last night, how about this? The Regina Red Sox won their 12th in a row, 4-3 over Swift Current, and went right down to the 9th. Here in Moose Jaw, in extra innings, the Millers beat the Berries 10-9. However you want to play with that, Darrin, I don't know. Edmonton over Weyburn 7-4. Okotoks over Sylvan Lake 10-4. And Lethbridge beat Brooks 22-5. By the way, for all the CFL fans and football fans that have come here to roost and talk, in the next segment, which is the longest one we do in the hour, we'll spend a lot more time on football there, i.e., the game of the week in the Canadian Football League, the commissioner's latest comments that I don't agree with, a lot of things. That's coming up in the next segment. But for here, because I'm also interested in this. Point 3, Jeremy Roenick has been elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame after being eligible for more than a decade. The high-scoring American forward is part of the Hall's class of 2024. Habs defenseman and former Montreal captain Shea Weber, 2-time Stanley Cup winning Russian winger Pavel Datsyuk are also part of the class, and American women's players Natalie Darwitz and Chrissy Wendell-Pole. So I'll say it again. It's the Rod Pedersen Show. If you want to cancel me, you can go ahead. But I don't think any of these people did more for the game than Theoren Fleury. And quite frankly, I didn't realize until last year that Theo won a World Juniors too. The night where they brawled, or the day, as we were watching it here in Canada. You weren't even born yet, but they turned the lights out and there was a brawl. Somebody thought that was a good idea to turn the lights out in the rink in Piastani. And Theo's like, no, we didn't win the gold that year, but we went back the next year and won the gold. Nobody talks about that. I'm like, you mean to tell me you won the World Juniors and the Stanley Cup and an Olympic gold and a World Championships? He's like, yeah. So don't talk to me about the Hockey Hall of Fame until Theo gets in. I'm not really that interested in it. And I'm mad that those that run the Halls of Fames now have robbed me of my love for it. That's my opinion on it. But maybe you have more or better thoughts than mine. I hope you do on the Hall of Fame.
No, I do. And I don't spend as much time thinking about those types of things, although a video was circulating online because, I think for the most part, we've largely just kind of accepted the fact that Theo's not getting in as much as we think his resume deserves it, and it does. Great resume. For whatever reason, it's not happening. But now they're asked, McGillney year over year is the question. Why isn't Alex McGillney in the Hall of Fame? And somebody put a video out. It's got a lot of traction, thinks it has to do with the KGB and Russia because he was the first real Russian player to open those doors and come over to the NHL, and it opened the floodgates of all the Russians coming over. So they think there's something to do with that. But, these are, we're getting now more and more and more and more and more every year into my hockey heroes, right? These are the guys I grew up watching. And Datsyuk, extremely deserving. Shea Weber's not even retired yet. but he's, letting the contract run out and, a great player. Jeremy Roenick's the one that people wonder about. Never won a cup, never won a single NHL award, but he was a 9-time All-Star. And there are less than 50 players in NHL history that have 500 goals. He's one of them. Scored a lot of goals. So interesting, he gets in and some other guys don't, but not saying he's not deserving either.
It's interesting you say that about McGillney. I had not heard that conspiracy. But again, whether I want to blame the people that are in charge of these Hall of Fames or just the concept of politics, which if you look up politics, it's anything to do with the act of governance. And that's what that is, opening the door for Russians to come over to North America, if that's what it was and he defected. Again, was he a Hall of Famer or was he not? The answer is yes. So put him in the damn Hall. Why are we doing, oh my God.
I know. You talk about that too. And Jeremy Roenick, one of the things, the storylines with Roenick, was the controversy about post-retirement because of morality clause in his contract, was fired from NBC, if we remember that. And part of the storyline was how he's rehabilitated his image and he's taken steps to become a better man and do all these things. And they're connecting it as that's a reason why he's into the Hall of Fame, saying that the negativity around his image and the NBC exit was holding him out of the Hall of Fame. So it could, it sounds similar to the Theo situation, doesn't it?
Yeah, but Theo rehabilitated himself long before Roenick did, which, by the way, what the hell, we'll finish this segment on this topic, and then next segment we'll move on to other things, soccer and football as well. But in Calgary, where I spent a lot of time the last couple of years, I had somebody with the Flames. A guy said the exact same thing this once. I say the same thing off the air that I say on. And I said, I can't believe they don't have Theo's number up there. We were just standing on the ice or near the ice of the Saddle Dome, and the guy goes, well, Theo's number is going to go up. 14 is going to go up. And I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, so just, have Theo not worry about it too much and damn sure not say anything about it around town. So what do you think I said? Next time I saw Theo, they said they're going to retire your number, man. And he was like, when? There was... What?
No, I totally get it. Just don't say anything to Theo, you can't help it. And he wants to know when he's going to start banging on doors. It's funny.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I did Scott Schultz here, number 96, the old 96er. He and I were best friends for a long time. Hall of Famer for the same thing. What were they waiting for putting him into the Hall of Fame? And I said that to him. Like, Schultz, you're going to get in at some point. He's like, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow. As could Theo. Retire the damn number. Put him in the damn Hall of Fame. John Ohm says conspiracies in sports. That's nothing new. No, but keeping them out of the Hall of Fame is new. That's what's new about this. What it should be is, did you have a Hall of Fame worthy career or not? Yes or no? It's a yes or no. That's all. Okay. We'll get into the rest of this, all the other topics when we come back. Darrin Bauming, Jersey Jim, and Jason Hajdu on the way today. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
All right. Thank you.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
We're back at it, and a reminder to sign up for Landmark Extras for free today. We talk about it every day in this time slot. I'm going to keep doing it until you do it. There's 3 programs to choose from at landmarkcinemas.com. It's a rewards program. More movies you go to, the more rewards you get. It ain't that hard to figure out. Let's please bring in the Moose. He said he did enjoy our movie talk yesterday, as did I. Bad boys, bad boys. Ride or die, I'm telling you, 2 thumbs up from the Monday Morning Goalie. Go to it. You won't be disappointed. Okay, point 4, Jonathan David scored off a brilliant passing play in the 74th minute, and goalkeeper Maxime Crépeau was flawless as Canada defeated Peru 1-0 in a Copa America match in Kansas City. Canada improves to 1-1 and will play Chile on Saturday in Orlando, Florida. Before we do switch this over to the football, I got a lot of notes. You wanted me to get my Glenn Sather stories out, and I don't want to tell the stories. I've told them before, but I didn't realize Glenn Sather was announced as retiring this morning by the New York Rangers. The Hockey Hall of Famer Glenn Sather. When I got thinking about this, Darrin, the architect of 5 Stanley Cups with the Edmonton Oilers, as we all know, I believe he's from High River, Alberta. Have you watched Boys on the Bus, the documentary on the 80s Oilers? You did, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the quote from Glenn Sather, forget about the times I've been with him or around him. This, when I was a little kid, watching the Boys on the Bus, when he was interviewed and said, I'd rather have an arrogant guy working for me than a guy that's a wimp. That hit me to the bone. That somehow weaseled its way into my DNA. So that's why when that guy wrote in, that out-of-work producer who critiqued our show without being asked and said, what do you say? Your show's got ADD. Your sound effects are annoying, and your host is arrogant. Thanks, Slats. And by the way, I don't regret it.
Blame
I
Glenn
want to win.
Taylor.
Yeah, blame Glenn Saylor. Morning, guys. Want to win. I want to win. And that's why that award for the Cats and Bolts podcast meant so much, because you can't take that away. In America, it's about winning and losing, period. And in some cases of Canada, too. But not like it used to be. It was from Glenn Saylor, blame him. I'd rather have an arrogant guy working for me than a guy that's a wimp. And by the way, so would I. Unfortunately, the wimps seem to have taken over. You and I were talking about this on the phone the other day. The wimps somehow or another have taken over. I don't know why or how, but that's what it is. But Slats is still a winner, and I feel like the winners are still winning. So that's my thoughts on Glenn Saylor retiring. I don't know that you would have as many because, you know, he did a lot of his winning before you were around.
That's right. You know, obviously it doesn't have the same impact on me. For me, Glenn Saylor is more tied probably to the New York Rangers than the Edmonton Oilers, right? And Oiler fans would be like, what? You can't be serious. But it's, you know, it is. I think, you know, was he not a big part of the 94 Cup in New York?
Rangers?
Was he there by that time?
I don't know. He was still with the Oilers then. I'd have to look it up. I'm pretty sure he was still with the Oilers. Yeah.
I mean, he does, you know, I do hear, you know, Kevin Lowe and Craig McTavish and Glenn Saylor. I kind of consider them all together, but also at the same time, you know, most of my life, he's been with the Rangers, I think, or at least lately. So, but definitely a larger than life figure, somebody who's, you know, going to go down in the history books of the National Hockey League, and a tremendous, tremendous career.
His last year with the Oilers was 94. Okay. So, again, I mean, I can't. It's, as I said, it's in my DNA. It's to the bone. And that's why the older that I get, you've heard me say, the Glenn Saylors, the Don Matthews, the Adam Ritas, the Wally Buonos, those guys, they're arrogant. They would agree. They'd laugh. They intimidate people. So what? They win. And they scare the wimps. Okay. Moving on to football. Point 5. Edmonton Elks quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson led all offensive players. Okay, I'm laughing. Hang on. I'll tell you why. On the CFL's honor roll for week 3. Bethel Thompson threw for 342 yards and 4 touchdown passes for Edmonton in week 3. And I was like, didn't they lose? Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter anymore. They lost to Toronto 39-36. Montreal's Tyrese Beverett was the top defensive player with 6 tackles, a sack, and an interception in the Alouettes' 47-21 win over Ottawa. So, I mean, we can't sit here and say it's okay for McDavid to win the Conn Smythe even though his team lost the Stanley Cup, I guess, and say Macbeth shouldn't win the Player of the Week because his team lost. I just feel like winning doesn't matter as much anymore. And it kind of rolls into our Hall of Fame discussion. So before we get to week 4 in the CFL.
Glad you could join us.
Why keep score? Why do we keep score? The BC Lions
just reminds me of the dad at the soccer game. Everybody gets the orange slices. We're not keeping score. And he's in the back like, huh? I'm keeping score. And I know we lost.
Oh, my God. Is this Clark writing this reminder? These CFL grades are simply grading performances. It's not an award-based system, just going by highest weekly grades. Then, Clark, let's award the Grey Cup based on who's got the best analytics. Because that's what they're doing. Clark, it just told me in my ear, a reminder that it's not the players of the week, it's who's had the best analytics. Am I saying that properly? Go ahead, Darrin. Say it.
I just let me enjoy it. I'm just having fun. I got nothing to say.
Well, let's be positive about something. I'm positive week 4 kicks off Thursday night with Edmonton at BC. Friday, it's Montreal at Toronto. Saturday, it's Winnipeg at Calgary. And Sunday, it's Hamilton at Ottawa. one game a day. I love that. I'm going to watch as much as I can. I have made the decision not to go back to Florida for the Stanley Cup parade, but that may change too. I don't know. We'll see. Probably not. So I'm going to watch as much CFL football as I can. My vote for game of the week is Montreal at Toronto, and I'll be honest, I don't think it should be close because it's the unbeatens, and any game that Cody Fajardo is playing in, and in this case for Montreal, is probably going to be my play game of the week. Al's 3-0, Argo's, 2-0. Your thoughts?
That is it. That is the game of the week. 100%. The polling stations are closed. We didn't even need to, put anybody at the polling stations because there is only one option for the game of the week this week. It is that cut and dry. I'm with you on that. We're going to decide who's the best in the East. We thought, Ottawa, I wasn't saying Ottawa was the best in the East or even threatening for it, but they had their litmus test. Great start, new team, new quarterback, and they got smoked by Montreal. Well, now it's Montreal-Toronto. And Cameron Dukes, big test for him, big test for the Owls. This will be fun.
I got myself spun around to the fact that I think this is funny. Like, I'm having fun now. Colin in Ottawa writes in and says, did anyone else see the Elks just tweeted that they had the most first downs in the CFL? So embarrassing to post that when you're 0-3. Hey. All these sayings, stats are for losers. They're for losers. Okay. I don't know if I ever told you this saying. Statistics remind me of the guy that drowned in the creek that had the average depth of 6 inches. What do you mean he drowned? The average is only 6 inches deep. How do you drown in a stream that's only 6 inches deep on average? Stats are for losers. And, yeah. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, my vote goes to Calgary, Winnipeg. Well, of course, because you're a Stamps fan. It's good. Ryan in Saratoga, New York, says, Montreal, Toronto's my game of the week as well. The Argos are going to be a big test for the Alouettes. The game to watch for sure. So kicking around the games, again, I'm literally in one day at a time territory, so all I'll say is I'm going to watch as much of these games as I can. Thursday night, we have a baseball game, Miller Express home to Swift Current, and that's the night that Edmonton kicks off at BC. I think that'll be a good game too, but I'm not going to pick Edmonton in any game until they show me that they're not this dumpster fire that they are. And furthermore, did you see the comments from the Commissioner Randy Ambrosie of the Canadian Football League? Tell me you did. At 3 Down Nation, where he said, listen, we didn't find the kick. We didn't pull the microchips out of the footballs because of anything the kickers said. 2 team presidents and one of our internal guys said, yeah, maybe we should look at this. So it's not what the kickers said. It's our own people said that. And I'm like, oh, God, man. I want to support Randy, but I'm like, then why did you start the season with them in the first place if the presidents in Saskatchewan and Winnipeg didn't want him, nor your own top football operations guy? Why did you start the season with him when the players themselves said we were begging you all training camp not to do this? And then we were assured that you weren't going to, and then you did. I think it looks bad. I'm sorry. You?
Yeah, it doesn't look good. I think it's, if you reacted to what the players said and made the decision midweek, you can't fine them. So this is just words that back up the reason why we fined them. We didn't make the change because they said it. We did it because these guys up here told us about it. And we find these guys because they were outspoken on social media. But we didn't make the decision because of them. So it's just semantics. It doesn't look good. As you said, just take the L and move on. Don't give it any more attention. You already got the negative publicity for, handing out the fines. Now there's just a little bit of more gas on it, and the coals were still burning a little bit. Just walk away and move on from it. I don't like it.
See, that's the ugly thing about sports. And I spent more time thinking about this morning than I probably should have. But I'm like, why do other leagues, why do I feel like they don't have egg on their face? Like in the like the NFL, they have players do dumb things. It's been a horrible offseason for the National Football League in terms of players doing stuff. What do I say? When we're in the offseason, this when stuff happens, because during the season, they're too busy to get into trouble. Football is a violent game played by violent people. That's just one thing. But it's like the NFL and to a certain extent the NHL seem to be above this kind of stuff. And I don't know how it works on the inside. Like, I can't imagine it's smooth. I don't think Roger Goodell has an easy job. I just feel like these scandals don't seem to plague those leagues. Deal or no deal.
You're right. I mean, it does a little bit, but to the extent that they don't add to it. That's the biggest thing, is they don't make it more than it needs to be. When you find a player, when a player does something, you're going to have negative publicity. There's going to be people talking about football culture or hockey culture or any of these things. The leagues make their decisions, and then they step away. And you don't hear from Roger Goodell reacting to anything. He makes the decision. People will crap on it or whatever, but he doesn't react to any of it. He just steps away, goes quiet. You don't hear from him. So there is no back and forth. So there's no controversy.
That's how it looks. By the way, two quick ones. Freddie writes in and says, would Tkachuk be getting the same criticism and or support if the roles were reversed and he didn't win the Stanley Cup? Freddie in Winnipeg, I respect the hell out of you because you watch us every day, but the fact is he did win the Stanley Cup. And I'm sorry to say, I'm sitting here to tell you, winning matters. So it doesn't matter. Can that be the theme of today's show? Winning matters. And we have more comments that I'll get to. Moose, I'll see you in hour 2.
Okay, see you then.
Sporadically in hour 2, by the way, because we have 2 hours then. But Darrin Bauming joins us next. We'll get to the bottom of the Winnipeg situation. All of what that means next. Live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the City of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Now the race is on and here comes pride in the backstretch. Celebrate 40 years of Sawyer Brown. Some girls don't like boys like me. With Shenandoah. You got to get me to the church on the Cumberland Road. Plus special guest George Fox. Saturday, October 26th, Moose Jaw Event Center. I'll take the dirt road. Tickets are on sale now at the Moose Jaw Event Center box office or online at sasktix.ca. 6 days on the road and I'm Sawyer Brown and Shenandoah live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hey, everybody. As you know, we're brought to you in part by Common Crown Brewing Company in Calgary, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. It's available all across the prairies. Check them out if you want more details at commoncrown.ca. Darrin Bauming's from Bonfire Sports in Winnipeg. He's football first, but he covers the Jets, too, for NHL.com. Hey, Bomber, I like the hair. Are you growing it out or something? Or do I normally see you wearing a toque? Why does your hair look longer than normal?
Yeah, you know us prairie boys. We revel in the toques 10 months of the year. But yeah, it's summertime. Right. It's like it was 35 degrees in Winnipeg yesterday, and you know, a little cooler today, which is nice. But just kind of letting it all breathe, Roddy.
Letting it flow. I like it. I like it. You don't like the Bombers at 0-3, nor does your town. Everybody seems a little stunned right now. What's going on?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a wild one. You know, I don't even know where to start. The offense has not been good. Like, is this Zach Collaros now? I can't imagine. No touchdowns through 3 games. He's thrown a handful of picks, including a couple pretty bad ones that are definitely on him. The defense got shredded by Vernon Adams Jr. to the tune of 500 yards last week in their 3rd straight loss, and second at home. They were 8-1 on home field last year. New turf and new stadium name at the former ballpark. I guess, yeah, you know, it's Princess Auto Stadium now. I can't even, IG Field it used to be. See, I'm you know,
yeah,
can't even remember. Everything's changed and everything looks so different. But I don't know, Roddy, what am I going to tell you? I'm going to tell you that the Blue Bombers are staying on message. They're keeping that Mike O'Shea stoicism, right? They're not listening to any of the outside noise. They're not getting involved in the bulletin board talk because they're number 9 in the power rankings or anything like that. They just go to work every single day. It's been the Mike O'Shea mantra since day one in 2013, but it was the season before Mike O'Shea took over, 2012, the last time this team started a season 0-3.
Well, I'm going to throw this out there. Like Bomber fans, shout out Rob in Las Vegas who watches this show every day, says, can injuries be used as an excuse? How do you feel about that? Is that valid?
An excuse? No, absolutely not. The team won't admit that. I won't admit that. I'm a football purist. You know, I watch every single brand there is. I call junior games here in Winnipeg for the Rifles. You know, I grew up playing the game. Injury should never, ever be an excuse. The quarterback is healthy. The offensive line is healthy. The running back is healthy. The reigning West Division MOP. Yeah, injuries to Dalton Schoen and Kenny Lawler, both of them on the 6-game injury list. Carrick Wheatfall, who had a 111-yard game in his CFL debut in week 2. He's now injured. We don't know how long he's going to be. There's some guys on the D-line that are nicked up, but Willie Jefferson's healthy. Adam Bighill and Kyrie Wilson in the linebacking core, they're good to go. Dietrich Nichols, who for my money, maybe the best DB in the CFL today, missed last week, but he looks good to go this week. They got some young guys in the back end, but Brandon Alexander's been able to play in all the games. They're veteran safety. Injury should not be an excuse for any football team. I don't think they should be an excuse for this football team. They just need to play a whole lot better than they have.
I don't buy it either. I'm just, for any team or any sport, I'm just passing it along. Now, you can make a case for any game to be the game of the week. For me, it's my Cody and Montreal at Toronto, but Winnipeg at Calgary is it's very big. It's a West Division collision, man. What's your preview of this one at McMahon on Saturday?
Yeah, I think I'd go with you and say Montreal-Toronto is probably your CFL game of the week. I'm still curious about the Edmonton Elks. How do I see Winnipeg-Calgary shaking out? I mean, Stamps are coming off a bye. Winnipeg losing, I would say, their most impactful receiver, who is, Dalton Schoen, both a possession guy, that reliable person that Zach Collaros has always gone to in huge quantity. He's now out of the lineup, and the Stamps are going to be rested. Winnipeg is desperate, but I think the Calgary Stampeders are a lot better than people bargained for coming into this year. I know I had them at number 9 coming into this season in my personal power rankings that I publish every single week between my ears. And, I think Calgary has an opportunity here to stomp down an opponent that is already kind of, on bended knee. So I think it's going to be a very, very physical, intense football game because it's two teams that are headed in opposite directions right now. And I think they're both desperate football teams. Roddy, how many games have we seen between the Blue Bombers, led by Mike O'Shea, and the Stampeders, led by Dave Dickinson, where they have fought tooth and nail against each other and just, absolutely tried to murder each other on the football field? I see Saturday afternoon as a game that, or Saturday night rather, is a game that is going to be a really, really entertaining football game. However it shakes out, I can't wait for it.
Yeah, I don't think they like each other very much. That's the sense that I get. I don't think you get over these things. The friggin' Canadian Mafia, which, by the way, Dickinson's now Canadian. But, hey, just a shout-out for Bonfire Sports for those that are wanting extra coverage. Would you mind telling our viewers where they can find it?
Yeah, bonfiresports.ca is our website. You'll find links to everything, but we really do live on YouTube. You can find us in your podcast app, and then, of course, on Facebook and Twitter and all those sorts of things, all our socials, Instagram as well. Bonfire WPG. We're going to be doing lots of CFL-wide stuff once I get some things in order, but live pregame and postgame every single Bombers game with the legend Chris Walby joining me for the pregame show. It's always lots of fun. Appreciate that, Roddy.
Very good stuff. And now, if you don't mind, look, we have people writing in here, have had people writing in here talking about the Jets and what they're going to look like in training camp. I'm like, I'm not there yet. So chill out, but I also get the Winnipeg hockey scene. Long off season for them, man. Longer than they planned. What's your take on the Jets as we sit here today?
Yeah, no doubt it was longer than they planned. And I loved how Mike McIntyre of the Winnipeg Free Press put it. The Winnipeg Jets had the dubious distinction of losing to the team, the Colorado Avalanche, in the first round, that lost to the team being the Dallas Stars, who lost to the team being the Edmonton Oilers, who lost to the team that won the Stanley Cup, the Florida Panthers. So every single team that beat Winnipeg ended up losing in the next round. So that's that dubious honor they have. Big questions in Winnipeg. New head coach in Scott Arniel, who had been the associate coach under Rick Bowness the last couple of years, as Bowness moves on from his illustrious career coaching. And will Scott Arniel be the voice this team needs? I'll cut right to it, Roddy, because we could talk about, Nikolai Ehlers and the defense core and adding pieces and free agency and trades and all of that. It all really doesn't matter. This Winnipeg Jets team, it matters, but it matters less than this. This Jets team, through my eyes and the eyes of people I've spoken with, they have no drivers on the ice, no drivers inside the locker room. And when the first and only head coach that I can remember in any pro sport quit mid-season, that being Paul Maurice with the Winnipeg Jets a few years ago. I don't know any time that has happened. He decided to leave the team and said, my message is not landing. They need a new voice. When he wins the Stanley Cup the other night, not only did he give a nod to the Winnipeg Jets, and he said, if I could only have one thing more, it would be for the Winnipeg Jets to win the next Stanley Cup. He clearly loved his time in Winnipeg and loved the organization, and still has a lot of relationships here. But it's that the way he talks about the Florida Panthers, he said This isn't me and the coaching staff. I arrived here in Florida and he said, these guys are different. They love each other. They play for each other. I don't know about, if it's fair or whatever, but all I could hear was what Florida has, Winnipeg does not have, as far as continuity and chemistry. I should say chemistry inside the locker room and drivers. When it came down to it in the playoffs, when they got punched, they couldn't get back up. And I just don't know if the chemistry and the makeup inside that locker room and on the ice as it is today is going to be a winner long-term unless they make some serious changes and find something beyond a great leader in Adam Lowry, beyond that, to kick this team in the rear when they need it, because I see no drivers on this team.
Great analysis. Les Lazaruk, whom you would know, the veteran Blades broadcaster who's from Winnipeg, just said the same thing. Something's missing. And for their sake, I hope they find it. Darrin, thanks for this. Love our chats, man. Great job. Enjoy the football.
Always good talking to you, Roddy. Enjoy the week.
Darrin Bauming of Bonfire Sports, Winnipeg. Back with a sports update, and got a lot of your comments to get to, too. We're live from the Golden Ticket Sports Center on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers, Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Welcome back, everybody. The studio is the Golden Ticket Sports Center. By the way, just to finish up on that Darrin Bauming interview and however it came up with Paul Maurice. Yeah, when he said, we were all watching it live. He had to get in at the end of his interview after just winning the Stanley Cup, that if he had a wish, it would be that the Jets will win the next Stanley Cup. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in, he goes, when Maurice said that, I assumed he was trolling. So did I. But then looking in his eye, I'm like, he means that. Now, he's not holding on to any ill will towards Winnipeg. And, I mean, he just won the Stanley Cup in Florida, so clearly things are great. But I think we're all thrown by a major loop for that. And maybe somewhere down the line, we'll get more of an explanation as to why he would choose that moment to say that. Can you believe this? The 2024 NBA Draft tips off tonight at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. The so-called French connection of Alex Sarr and Zachary Risseker, along with Kentucky sharpshooter Reed Shepherd and Connecticut guard Stephen Castle, is expected to attract a lot of attention. The Toronto Raptors will pick 19th overall in the first round. Atlanta, Washington, and Houston will be the first three teams to pick. John Cooper has been named Canada's coach for upcoming international play, including the 2026 Olympics. Hockey Canada announced that the two-time Stanley Cup winning coach of the Lightning also will be behind the bench for the NHL's Four Nations face-off in February. Cooper from Prince George, BC, was selected to coach Canada at the 2022 Olympics before pandemic-related issues caused the league to back out. This sports morning, but the sports update is for Landmark Cinemas. Now playing at Landmark Cinemas, Bad Boys Ride or Die. This summer, the world's favorite bad boys are back with their iconic mix of edge-of-your-seat action and outrageous comedy. But this time with a twist. Miami's finest are now on the run. Starring Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. Bad Boys Ride or Die in theaters now. Okay, thank you, sir. 902-518-3033. So we got the NHL talk taken care of. A lot of folks said that they're tired of the NHL for a while, and I get it. It's not going away, though. Freddie, no, hang on. Vintage Sasko writes in regarding Hall of Fames. He said, solid show. I may be off track here, but on this Hall of Fame talk, Ken Austin should have been in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame decades ago. His lit seasons overshadowed, though, by Flutie and company. I can tell you this, at one time I was very close to the Hall of Fame process, and he had never been nominated, and I don't believe has yet to be nominated. And you have to be nominated to even be considered. Ken Austin has not been nominated. Regarding the finding of the kickers and Ambrosi's, what he said earlier, Brian and Hudson's basis. Ambrosi says in one breath he wants the players in the league to work together. Then in the next breath says we didn't do it because the players made us stink. We made it because our own board of governors said to do it. Talk about talking out of both sides of your mouth. Never liked the guy. It's also confusing to me. And I just sit back and wonder who is running the league and if we should even blame Ambrosi. It's just also confusing. Oh, okay, Ken F. Hang on. We'll get to that coming back after this break. Right after this, everybody.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
I was born to broadcast. So the World Juniors, 2012, I'm calling the national radio feed. I was sitting there in the press box of the Saddle Dome like this, playing Pac-Man on my phone. Ray Ferraro, he's like, "Are you kidding me?" And I'm like, "What are you doing?" "I'm playing Pac-Man on my phone." "I just died." And he goes, "Don't you have game prep to get ready for the game or something?" "No, I know the numbers. I know everything about them. Let's get the game going."
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show, Hour 2. I'm going to get to as many comments as I can. Everybody's having a great Canadian summer day, and we are on Game Plus Television, where we are Canada's daytime sports talk show, but also airing in 31 U.S. states, including Texas, and we're going there right away on the radio in Atlanta, Key Radio, and, of course, streaming. And I'm just going to jump right into it. Jersey Jim joins us from, I believe, Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. You, Jim, are the face of NHL media coverage. You don't even know it, but you're going to tell our viewers what's it like to go straight from the Stanley Cup Game 7 to Vegas and the NHL awards and the draft, man. You're doing it, eh, Jimmy?
Hey, Rod, thanks so much for having me back on the show. Yeah, I mean, in the airport right now in Dallas-Fort Worth. Stopped back in Jersey just to do laundry and get a change of clothes after Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. Tired as anything, but this is the life you chose, the life you live. And I'm loving every minute, enjoying every moment of this, taking it all in. And to be there in probably one of the loudest buildings that night in Game 7 between the Oilers fans and the Panthers fans, and to go to Vegas for the NHL draft is just going to be amazing. Great experience.
Good for you, man. It's a dream come true. And for those that don't know, you and I have not only talked every day, we've talked multiple times daily along this road. But I want to throw this at you, Jim. People are writing in over the past couple of days saying Game 7 wasn't that good of a game. I don't agree. I was cheering for the Panthers. Serena was cheering for the Oilers, so we had vested interest. But you were kind of a non-biased observer in the barn. Did you think it was a great game or not?
I thought it was a hell of a game. I thought it lived up to the hype of Game 7. I mean, look, to me, obviously first period a little tight, but they played a really good game, like, to be honest. And then the Panthers did what the Panthers do in the third period. They just locked it down. And I understand people, they don't like it. It's boring. But it wins hockey games, right? You knew the minute when the Oilers pulled the goalie and the puck went in the corner, they were just going to bury it. That's what they did every series. Oilers had their chances. Florida played great defensively. The rush game, back and forth. It was an exciting game. It was a thrilling game because you thought the Edmonton Oilers could tie this game and force overtime. You really did, but the breaks that they got in the first 3 games that were able to tie this series up in games 4, 5, and 6, they just didn't get in 7 because Paul Maurice got that team believing just one game. That's all we have to do is play one good, solid defensive game, and we're winning the Stanley Cup. And as I said to everybody yesterday when I was talking with a bunch of guys, it doesn't matter what the Oilers are doing, backs up against the wall, this mentality. When something else is on the line besides your playoff lives, the what if starts to come into your head. And I'm not saying that it was in their head, but you could see they were running out of gas. McDavid did all he could, but they just ran out of gas.
The Panthers certainly weren't worried about what ifs at all because they had a big what if gorilla on their shoulder, and they did not play that way. By the way, Jersey Jim with us from NHL Full Press. Last one on this. What was it like, Jim, to be on the ice after the game amidst all the aftermath?
I mean, the commercial, I keep going back to it, right? The guys talk about no words. It's really like a feeling that you never experience. Sorry. Yeah, literally no words can describe it. Like, lifelong dream for me.
Sorry to make you cheer up, bro.
No, it's
just not cheer up.
It's one of those things, right? They tell you when the guys are winning the cup, they have no words to describe it. It's unbelievable. Talk to see Zito, Billy Lindsay, our buddy, right? The look on his face. Oh my God, the guy. He was, we hugged. He cried a little bit. Zito was so emotional, and I asked him about how it felt. Same with all the players, just to be on the ice, to see the cup handed around, see what the families are doing, the players. Just so cool to be there and to be a part of that circle. Just awesome.
Okay, well, I'm just going to ask you one more before I let you go. Well, no, maybe a couple more, but you sent me the photo of you and Billy Lindsay. He's my guy. I just talked to him this morning. Just tell me how that all... He's the Florida Panthers great and the radio color guy. What happened there?
So I was walking around, and Billy was around, and obviously he was doing his stuff for NHL Network, but he was just soaking it all in and soaking in all the moment, and I saw him, and he's like, hey, Jimmy, and I was like, hey, Billy, congratulations, we just hugged it out, and then I was like, yo, let's just get a picture just to document everything, and he was cool about it. We were just talking, what it means for him, to see the organization, the team he spent his whole career with, been there through the ups and the downs, seen it all, and to win. That's just so cool to see guys like that, right? Like Bill Lindsay, Mr. Florida Panther, right? I have Kenny Danico, New Jersey Devil, Mr. Devil, right? You see it now, and you get it, right? And the way they did those things, and it was just awesome. The emotion on everybody's face. I got to talk to Anthony Stolarz, a Jersey guy. He was so emotional about it. All the guys were, and that's what it matters, right? That's what winning the Stanley Cup is all about. And these guys just no words to describe it. Same with Bill Zito. When I asked him how it felt, he was just like me before. Like, took probably a couple minutes to collect his thoughts because he knows what it means, right? All the hard work it went in for the Florida Panthers to win this Stanley Cup. First team since Pittsburgh to lose and then win it the next year. Blowing a 3-0 lead, not wanting to be on the wrong side of history. Place was loud, the loudest I've heard it all playoffs, all final. Obviously there were a lot of Oilers fans there, but the Panther fans came out in full force. I said it before, I'll say it again on the show. Florida is the state of hockey now, with 3 championships in the last 5 years.
Oh, there's no doubt. No doubt. It's a great place to be. You're going to the draft in Vegas. Let me just wind it up with this. What are you expecting in Sin City this weekend?
A big party. No, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, it's going to be a big party. I expect some movement to happen. I think there's going to be some picks in play. I know New Jersey's dangling their pick. Could Seattle move around Utah? I know. We've already seen the goalie trades. Obviously, Markstrom, and thank you for the credit on your show. I heard everything. Thank you again for that. But I think, Allmark's moved out. I think, Gustafsson could be in play, John Gibson. I think there's going to be a lot of movement as we head into this. I think we're going to see more movement this year than we did last year in the first round. And, I think, we're going to see maybe some interesting things happening. Maybe like say New Jersey, for instance, moves the 10th overall pick. What are they going to get for it? Could they get a defenseman, a forward? They need a lot of things still. So I expect there's going to be some movement this year, unlike last year where everybody just stood pat.
Jim, when it's over, you're going to sleep for a month at least, but it ain't over yet. Safe travels and enjoy Vegas, man.
Hey, thanks, Rod. Thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure to be here. And yes, rest is in order for sure.
Okay, thanks for the time, brother. Jersey Jim Behringer from Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport on his way to the NHL Draft had been at Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. Hopefully we can get Moose back in here, but if we can't, I can handle this on my own for the rest of the way in this segment. Hey, Bill from the Queen City writes it. He says, good morning, crew from the middle of Long Lake. 2 fish in the boat so far. That kind of reminds me of what I wanted to get to here this hour. That's part of why I want Darrin in, but I could push it to the next segment. We're talking about Hall of Fames. We're talking about winning. There's a big theme here today about winning. Like as Jim said, he asked Bill Zito, the general manager of the Panthers, what this meant to win the Stanley Cup, and he couldn't speak. Jim got choked up talking about it. Winning still matters. And there's a theme here. The guys, Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes and says, I assume that Ken Austin was already in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, yeah, Ken Austin isn't a likable guy. Actually, I thought he was in the Hall of Fame already. Well, number one, how do you know whether he's likable or not? Do you know him? That's the stuff that really... Because I love Ken Austin. He wrote the foreword for my best-selling book. He ain't warm and fuzzy. But what did we say from the outset? Glenn Sather retiring today from the New York Rangers from the 1980s documentary. I'd rather have an arrogant guy working for me than a guy that's a wimp. Ken Austin's too busy looking forward as the offensive coordinator at Auburn University in the SEC. He ain't looking back. So... he didn't kiss enough butt in the CFL, so that's why he's not in the Hall of Fame. That's kind of what it comes down to. Sorry. And it's not saying the guys that are going into the Hall of Fame did, but it's just Kent did a lot of winning. He's not in the Hall of Fame. Theron Fleury did a lot of winning. He's not in the Hall of Fame. Some things just don't make sense. That's all. To the football, I was hoping to get Darrin in for this. I'll handle this. This came from Ken F. near the end of hour one. Ken F. says, what are your thoughts on McLeod Bethel-Thompson speaking out on short weeks? Okay, for those that don't know, the quarterback of the Edmonton Elks went off on 6:30 CHED, Edmonton radio, mad that the Elks just had to play last Saturday in Toronto, and now in week 3, and now they're turning around and flying out to BC to play tomorrow night against the Lions on 5 days rest. He's upset about that. Now, I'm not a professional athlete. I'm around a bunch of right here today. I could ask those guys. And I would, Darrin's more of a football guy. 11:11 Mountain is the time, by the way. 1:11 Eastern. McLeod is... Speaking of different rules for different people, McLeod has been outspoken about the CFL a lot in his time in the league and doesn't seem to be disciplined for it as far as we know. He went so far as to say, I didn't read the direct quote. Well, I read it. I don't remember it. But he said they don't care about our player health and safety. the league leaders don't care about our health, our players. And I don't actually agree with that. History will show the CFL probably cares more about its player safety than the NFL does. And they do play on short weeks in the NFL as well. Not as much, I think, as they do in the CFL, but it's 2024 with all of the advancements in player recovery time. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think this is McLeod complaining. It's why I get a little frustrated when it comes to talking about the CFL and certainly covering the CFL because it's confusing. Maybe we change the name to the Confusing Football League because midway through week 1, the kickers are all whining that these microchips you've put in the football are making the footballs weighted to one distance, and that's why we were having a tough time kicking field goals. So they take the big microchips out, and then they find the kickers. It all came across as a bunch of complaining. I'm getting a headache just thinking about it. It's just always complaining. Can we just play the damn game? 902-518-3033. Again, we'll make, people are saying that McLeod's going to get fined for this. I don't know. Wayne in BC says, I loved Ken Austin when he played for the Riders, especially when he coached the Riders to the Grey Cup. And, oh, yeah, he also quarterbacked the Riders to a Grey Cup in 1989. All I know is my good friend Mark Denobly was the executive director of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, and I asked him that question. He lives in Burlington. He's not with the CFL or the Hall of Fame anymore. But I said, why is Kent not in the Hall of Fame? He goes, he's never been nominated. And I can, as far as I know about Kent, I've known him a long time and know him pretty well, he's not as worried about it as you guys are. He don't care. He's looking ahead. Monty in Saskatoon says, the Edmonton quarterback is a big baby. I guess you asked me, and oh, Darren's back. Okay, we've got 2 minutes left in this segment. And John Ohm, I'll get to your comment in a second. But Darrin, the viewers want to know our thoughts on McLeod Bethel-Thompson complaining about the 5 days, only 5 days rest between games for the Edmonton Elks. I feel in 2024 with the recovery time now, the advancements, it's not that big a deal. He says the CFL leaders don't care about the player health and safety, and I don't agree. But maybe you're with Macbeth. What are your thoughts?
There's something to be said with for him. I mean, I saw the quotes and the statement, 9-team league, we should be able to have more than 5 days between games all the time. But this happens in pro sports. It happens in the National Football League often, where guys play in short games, where you play on a Sunday and you got to play on a Thursday right away. It happens. And you're right. It's not the same as it was years and years ago. The recovery's better. The contact is less than it was before the physical play, all the rest. So I don't think it's a huge deal. I really don't.
Do you think he'll get fined for what he said? You said you read the quotes. Do you think he'll get fined for it?
The precedent was set for the kickers getting fined. So I would be not be shocked. I would not be surprised.
I mean, we talked about this last hour, and the other day you said you can't criticize the league. And that's your CEO talk. That's your CEO hat on. And I'm just sitting here going, what if the league craps in its own backyard? Can we criticize them then? Nope, can't.
Not
then
publicly.
That's wrong.
I think, but a healthy league, and I know we got a break, a healthy league and a healthy organization should have avenues for players to voice concerns, whether it's through the PA or whatever, to the league. You have to be able to, whether you want to call it criticize the league or hold them accountable or share your concerns with the league. I think the line is just not on social media.
Or in the media. But
yeah.
Like you say, my take on that, and we're going to move on after we come back from a break, but is that the players, Brett Lawther, the player rep for Saskatchewan, veteran kicker, and as good a guy as you're going to meet, intimated that they were assured by the league that they weren't going to use these microchips moving into the regular season, and then they did. Like the CFL went back on their word, which, by the way, wouldn't be the first time in sports. So, again, confusing football league. We'll be back, everybody. Load them up, 902-518-3033. Give us something else to talk about, please, for Sober Carpenter non-alcoholic craft beers or the streaming feed. And we'll get to the poll question. What's Canada's game of the week? We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw.
Live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Just trying to keep it between the ditches here on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio. Hey, Moose, come on in, man. On the way, we've got Jason Hasdu from College Hockey Inc. to preview the NHL Draft this weekend. I got a funny story for you. I need a holiday, Darrin. You'd think my life is a holiday, but it's not. So last night I'm broadcasting WCBL baseball, the Moose Jaw Millers, and who did we have in here last night? The Saskatoon Berries. And I said on the broadcast, I said, hey, folks, why don't you write me on Twitter, at Rod Pedersen, at RODPEDERSE, and check the spelling. Families of both teams, fans. So I'm getting all these messages come in, and one's good and one's bad. The good one was Brandy Soto from Round Rock, Texas, writes me. Her son Thomas is the third baseman and leadoff hitter for the Millers. And she says, hey, Rod, love watching you on Home Team Live. Can't wait to get up there in a couple weeks to see my son Thomas play for himself. I see him this morning here in the Golden Ticket. He walks in for their morning workout. I said, hey, your mom's coming to town, eh? He's like, what? Your mom's Brandy, right? Yeah. She's coming up here. He's like, she didn't tell me that. Oh, my God. Here's me getting in trouble, just trying to be me. Just trying to be down home. And then I get a message through the baseball team from one of the dads that goes, yeah, your announcer keeps saying to write him, but he doesn't say how to write him. So I'm going to write you, Millers. It's, I'm so-and-so, and my son's the blah. And I'm like, how come every other family can figure out that I said it on Twitter, but you can't? You're not listening, bro.
How about that?
Anyways, I'm looking. Yeah, that's stuff. You're not 12. Follow instructions. But tonight, I'll be very pleased to be watching Clint Black live in person at the Moose Jaw Event Center. Thank you, Moose Jaw Event Center, for the tickets. Part of the Killin' Time Tour. If I had a minute with Clint Black, which I might get, Darrin, you never know. I might get a minute with Clint Black. I might ask him, how was your concert in Edmonton Friday night during Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final? Did anybody show up? Poor guy. Was playing the same night as Game 6. On the Killin' Time Tour, Clint Black. Did you know that?
I did not. That's just bad luck because you got to book shows, you got to tour. The event center, wherever he's playing, doesn't realize it's going to be the Stanley Cup Finals Game 6. It's usually over by then, or the Oilers and every other Canadian team aren't usually in the finals. So you're not really, we can't stop our business because they might be in the finals. But at the same time,
yeah.
I can't imagine there was more than 25 people there.
Probably. I'll ask him. I'm not going to say it won't happen. I won't say it will happen, but I know I'm going to the concert for sure. And just I've gotten to know some friends around there at the facility, so maybe I'll get to meet Clint Black. Now, here's another one. Dude, I think when I get off the air today, I'm turning my phone off. Maybe till tomorrow morning. Other than to take photos with Clint, because I can't deal with people. Because Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final was the second most watched NHL game on record. The NHL says more than 16 million people across North America tuned into the game. The series averaged 8.8 million viewers, making it the most watched Stanley Cup Final since 2013. Now, because it's the most watched doesn't mean it was the best game, but again, I had a rooting interest. I wanted Florida to win the Stanley Cup, and they did. And, of course, the Oilers fans came out, and we talked yesterday about how they acquitted themselves so well. But now I'm seeing people complaining that it wasn't a good game. Anything else to bitch about, people? I thought the game was really good, really, really good. They were killing each other out there. I never stopped for a second to think it wasn't a good game. Just everybody's just bitching. It's driving me nuts. Did you think it was a good game or not?
Yeah, the game was good. It wasn't a Picasso. Sure, it wasn't, back and forth with multiple lead changes and all the rest, but it was Game 7. When the stakes are that high, you typically aren't going to get necessarily the most beautiful of a game, but you got a war, and that's what it was. But here, when your team wins, it was a great game. When your team loses, it was an awful game. That's how we feel. And so it doesn't matter. Anybody who had a rooting interest can't be convinced one way or the other whether it was a good game or a bad game. And we're in an era that when we do lose, we want to come up with things to try and discredit the win, to give reasons why the win wasn't as good, because it was a bad game. Okay, you won, but it was a bad game. Or, oh, great, your 10 fans get to celebrate, in Florida, or whatever the jokes are. I'm not here for any post-game trash talk, period, ever. But you know that.
Yeah, me either. The constant bitching is driving me crazy. We talked about it with the CFL players and now the NHL fans, which, by the way, I just sit here and think for a second. Now, they're not even hockey fans. I think they're just people that are fans of bitching. But the 2013 Stanley Cup final was the most watched in NHL history. I had to go back and look. What was so special about that? It was Chicago-Boston. Is it because of the markets, do you think? I don't remember that being a particularly special Stanley Cup final. This one, to me, far more special. You got two franchises there who are iconic franchises, yes, but it had won Stanley Cups before. No Canadian team, which to be honest, is very special when there is a Canadian team in the Stanley Cup final. Sorry, folks. Truth hurts. And then you got the Florida Panthers, the remarkable story of what they are and that they'd never won a franchise before. What am I missing, Darrin?
Yeah. Two original 6 teams, the history of the two franchises. And it, regardless, it does come down to markets for sure. That will be more appealing to Americans, and they have an opportunity to potentially draw more fans. I think I saw that the most watched Stanley Cup final game ever, or NHL game ever, was the final between Boston and St. Louis. I can't remember which game it was. Maybe the clinching game between St. Louis and Boston. Again,
well, that was a
two American markets
series. So,
yeah, St. Louis hadn't won a cup, all the rest. So there was some history there. Markets matter. If it was New York and LA in a Stanley Cup final, they would break records. Okay, if it was Toronto and Edmonton, the internet would break too, and we'd have to pick the pieces up. So markets and teams definitely matter.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're the wrong ones to ask because we're going to be watching no matter what. You and me. And I think a lot of the people that are watching this show, we're going to be watching. It's hard to go find the person that wasn't watching and say, why didn't you watch? Versus, why did you watch? You know what I mean? We're in. The one thing was the World Series last year. I did hear people saying on the radio in Florida, the talk host, was that it was a bad matchup, Arizona, Texas, in terms of markets and not iconic franchises. And I understand that argument. And then the ratings were down. But I guess this is what I think the teams in the leagues don't understand is the shows like this. If I'm listening on the radio and it says, why would I watch? It's Texas, Arizona. Then I'm sitting there going, yeah, why would I watch? So I don't watch, right? It's about being a salesman or a saleswoman for the league. Glenn in Medicine Hat writes in and says, the Florida win was the best outcome. The Oilers get credit for a great comeback, and the Panthers didn't live on as chokers. I agree. It was an unbelievable story. I'm actually shocked that it was not the most watched Stanley Cup playoff game of all time. As it is, it's number 2. That ain't bad. Jeff, the Stamps fan, just regarding Clint Black playing Edmonton on the same night as Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final across town. Jeff says, I'm sure Clint Black had no issue. As my mom says, there's more to life than sports. Thank you for the reminder. And I think that Clint Black probably wasn't even aware that Game 6 of the Stanley Cup was going on. Doesn't strike me as a hockey fan. Oh boy.
What?
Do you want to? You might have to take over the show because my head might explode. Karen in California, and I love her. She's been with us for a long time here in year 6, but she says, not to complain, Mr. Rod, which, by the way, a lot of Americans call me Mr. Rod, and I got to tell you, I like it.
Sounds like an all-inclusive resort, and you're the bellhop.
Not to complain,
Mr. Rod?
not to complain, Mr. Rod, but to miraculously come back after 3 games down and to lose to Florida 2-1 by a fluke goal, not buying it. The game was rigged. People were right. Bettman hates Canada.
Oh, no. Hot take.
What's up?
Spicy.
Can you handle it, please?
Hot damn.
Wasn't a fluke goal. And I don't know which one you're talking about. I assume you're talking about the Verhaeghe opening goal. It was a deflection, which Florida learned pretty early on that's one way you got to beat Stuart Skinner is misdirection, cross ice and deflections. They moved pucks into the middle of the ice for that reason. Weren't directly shooting at him at times, trying to get those deflections. It was a great piece of hand-eye coordination. Yeah, it was one that Skinner would like to have, but it was a great deflection. And the Reinhart one, that was a mono. It was Skinner and Reinhart just beat him with a good shot. So I don't put any of these on Skinner. And there's no conspiracy. Just, enjoy your cup of coffee. It's only, 10:30 in the morning? It's far too early in the morning on the West Coast to be that upset about a Gary.
Well, by the way, she's written back in and said, and besides, the Oilers beat Florida in Game 4 8-1, and 2 games later 5-3 and 5-1. But I still love you, Mr. Rod, and you too, Mr. Moose. Is that Weston? Nice win last night, Weston. Welcome to Moose Jaw. Glad to have you. Yeah, boy. That's the new pitcher for the Millers last night, Moose. Just showed up in town this week. 6'4" Texan, played at Incarnate Word. I do love broadcasting baseball, and I kind of wonder why I haven't been doing it my whole life. But I will just say this before I let you go and bring in Jason Hajdu. I got to quote my guy, Randy Moeller, on this. Folks, you talk about a fluke goal and the tip. It isn't just 20 guys skating around out there. There's some strategy that goes into this. And as Darrin said, getting the goalies moving and where are you going to shoot on Bob? And you know what I mean? It's not just 20 guys skating around. Just like football isn't 24 or 22 players crashing heads. It looks like it, but it's not. There's some planning here. And I think people don't, I think they overlooked that. Ryan in upstate New York says, ugh, the Bettman Canada conspiracy. Where's the Excedrin? Oh, I know. I'm tired of it too. Oh, okay. And John Ohm, here's one. We got to run here right away. But John Ohm says, here's a note. Jays Vladimir Guerrero now says he would play for the Yankees if traded to New York. The mice are jumping off the ship. Surprised it took this long. See you later, Moose. Have a good one.
Thank you. See you later.
We're going to take a look at the NHL Draft with Jason Hajdu from College Hockey Inc., and he is an original Canadian. There's a lot we can talk with Jason Hajdu about when we return. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
As you know, everybody, when we talk hockey, it's brought to you by our friends at Common Crown Brewing Company in Calgary, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. You can check out their tap room live if you want. Sample the product, 28th Street Northeast. Stop in and check their hours of the tap room. Jason Hajdu, can we bring him in, Director of Communications for College Hockey Inc. Jason, before we go any further, would you tell the folks, you and I have known of each other a real long time, but you've been down there a real long time. Can you just, before we talk about the draft this weekend, just tell them your story?
Sure, absolutely. And first of all, thanks for having me on. We always appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk college hockey with you. But yeah, I'm Regina, Saskatchewan, born and raised. Lived there till I was 17 years old. Proud graduate of Balfour Collegiate, and I ended up at the University of North Dakota to go to college, and I ended up with an internship in the sports information department at North Dakota, and I ended up staying at UND for more than 20 years. Loved it, just fell in love with the place, fell in love with the profession. It was the opportunity to, watch and write about sports for a living. And 2018, 2019, we made the move to Kansas City. My wife had a wonderful career opportunity in Kansas City. So we made the move, and we've been here ever since. And this will be my fourth year with College Hockey Inc. now, and just a great fit so far, and really proud of the work we do.
You guys do great work, and isn't it great that we can do our trade from anywhere? So you've been on this college hockey scene for a long time, is my point.
Yeah.
So how is this weekend's NHL draft lining up for college hockey players, do you think, as compared? Well, we know who the number one pick's going to be, so we'll get to that. But in terms of numbers eligible and who you think's going to go, how do you think this weekend's going to fare for NCAA?
Yeah, this is shaping up to be another great draft for college hockey players and incoming college hockey recruits. I think there were over 100 NCAA bound or NCAA currently playing NCAA players on the Central Scouting rankings. Like you said, we all know about Macklin Celebrini, the tremendous freshman from Boston University who won the Hobey Baker Award as a 17-year-old. He played the entire college hockey season at 17. He turned 18 2 weeks ago, I believe. And just for a little bit of context, the average freshman makes their college debut at about 20 and a half years old. So for Macklin to do what he did as a 17-year-old is pretty unprecedented. But there are a lot of other storylines to watch from our perspective. There are two other players ranked in the top 4 North American skaters for Central Scouting. Zeev Buyam is a defenseman for Denver, a really dynamic offensive player. And Artem Levshinov is a big all-around defenseman for Michigan State. Those two are also inside the top 4 for North American skaters. I think there's a chance we could see 10-plus college hockey players or incoming college hockey recruits go in the first round again this year. And that would continue a trend that we've seen in the last few years. Really, really good showing the last few years for college hockey players.
Last year, there was, amongst people that know the game, zero debate that Connor Bedard would play in Chicago at 18. But, Jason, I'm hearing more and more debate that Macklin Celebrini might go back to Boston U at 18. What do you think the chances are that he doesn't stay in San Jose?
It's hard to say. They're saying all of the right things. His camp is saying all of the right things. San Jose is saying all of the right things. You know, it's funny, all those years I worked at North Dakota with the hockey team, and in the years since that I've been with College Hockey Inc., I've never encountered a player who said, I stayed in college hockey 1 year too long. You will find a lot of players who said, yeah, I probably left a year too early. I should have at least come back for one more year. And our data shows that coming back is always beneficial to the player in terms of enhancing their chances for future NHL success. But I come back to, and I'll paraphrase here, Jay Pandolfo is Macklin Celebrini's coach at BU. And he said, yeah, you know what, I can't look Macklin in the eye today and say, you're not ready for the NHL. It's going to be his decision. So ultimately, it's the player's decision, as it probably should be. So I'm guessing we'll know sooner than later.
Did we lose him? I feel like, let me know if we got Jason. Oh, there you go. There you go. Sorry, you froze for a second, but we got you now. I guess it's a case-by-case scenario, because when Owen Power went back to Michigan, we were all like, and seems to have worked out fine for him. Wouldn't you say it has to do with, I don't know these players, but maturity level, physical maturity level, emotional, it would be different in every case, I would think.
Yeah, and what's the dynamic between the team that drafted him and the college team he plays for and that coaching staff? And Owen Power was one of them. Matty Beniers, that same Michigan team, also came back for a second year, as did Kent Johnson on that loaded Michigan team. Cale Makar was another one that came back for a second year. And clearly those extra years of development didn't hurt the players. So I think it's a combination of things: on-ice readiness, off-ice maturity, which franchise has the players' rights, and what's the dynamic between that staff and the college staff.
How much, I don't want to put you on the spot here because I know it's such a touchy subject, but how much are you guys watching the Junior A wars in Canada? I would suggest quite a bit. Jason.
You are putting me on the spot. We do keep an eye on it.
I'm sorry.
We with a lot of leagues.
I'm sorry.
We have great relationships with those leagues, and we do keep an eye on it, and we are in contact with the folks who run those leagues, and try to keep our finger on the pulse as best we can. It's been an interesting several months, all over the place in sports. Really, the NCAA is no different too, with all the different legal actions that are being taken against the NCAA and how that might affect the CHL eligibility rule that's been talked about a lot. So we're keeping our eye on a number of different storylines developing out there. It's a changing world.
Well, yeah. Well, I've made a career of talking about the touchy subjects, sometimes at my own peril, but I just wonder why it has gone the way that it has and why it's become so touchy. I think that I live in Florida 9 months out of the year. So with college sports, that's number one down there. So between NIL and transfer portal, it's chaos. It's absolute chaos. What do you think has led to, just in hockey alone, how touchy it is? Why do you think that is?
It's probably a number of things, but I think one of the largest factors is just the players, the student athletes, trying to assert more control over their own careers, so to speak, and their own fate, which is great. We're all for that. I think that's obviously odds a lot of times with the coaches, particularly the more old school coaches, old school administrators. You hope they can find some middle ground. We do root for the players to be empowered, the student athletes to be empowered, but obviously those values might not always align on both sides. So it's been fascinating to watch, and you kind of got to stay nimble, and it's been hard to predict. It's been hard. I've worked in a university, and I know from their standpoint, it's a totally different world than it was 20 years ago or even 5-10 years ago. And it's really hard to be proactive and predict what's coming next, but you have to be prepared to do so. It's the old Billy Beane Moneyball line: adapt or die, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm kind of sitting back just watching it because I'm friends on both sides, and you are too. Yeah. And it's just the coaches are mad because they're like, I thought we had a deal. A deal's a deal. Yet we've all been screwed over by so many teams and employers over the years. I kind of get where the players are coming from too. The problem is the players don't really know what's best for them, right? That's the tough part.
Yeah, they have a lot of different voices in their ear, and that's one area where we try to help is present players and their parents and anyone else in their orbit that informs them and helps inform their decision making. We try to arm them with facts. We are a nonprofit. We don't charge for our services. We want to present them the data to make the most informed decision, because like you said, at 14, 15, 16, that's almost impossible. You you don't. It's a big decision at a young age. So that's where we come in. But it's been interesting in college hockey because you're right. Coaches used to map their incoming classes 4 and 5 years out. I've seen those whiteboards in the coaches' locker rooms, and now it's year to year. And even within college hockey, you have different factions, so to speak, of who wants what and how they want this to look going forward, because some schools are benefiting from the current landscape and some are being harmed by it. So I don't know where it goes next. It's obviously a big talking point, bigger than ever probably. And I know the college hockey coaching body has formed a committee to start looking at this closely and try and get ahead of it and anticipate some unintended consequences and be ready for whatever does come next.
Just lastly, what are you going to be watching for the most this weekend at the NHL Draft, Jason?
Oh, a lot. Macklin Celebrini obviously is the key storyline, as well as some of those other players in the top 5. But I'm curious to see, there's a number of incoming forwards, especially that are ranked pretty highly by Central Scouting. I'm curious to see how many of those individuals can crack into the top 10. We've had really good numbers in terms of college hockey at the draft the last few years. I believe there were 14 first-round picks playing college hockey this past season. And I'm going to have my eye on the NHL awards tomorrow night. We've got 2 of the 3 Norris finalists played college hockey. 2 of the 3 Vezina finalists played college hockey. 2 of the 3 Calder, did I say Calder? Calder, Norris, and Vezina. 2 of the 3 finalists for each of those awards are college hockey alums. So it's great to see that. It's great to see not only the quantity, but the quality of college hockey that has really emerged the last several years.
That's right. It's a fantastic weekend coming up. Jason, thank you for the time. Wonderful chat and your longtime support. I want to thank you for that. And enjoy the hockey this week.
Appreciate it, Rod. Thanks for having me on.
The Director of Communications for College Hockey Inc., Jason Hajdu. We'll be back with Overtime right after this. We're live on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Great show today, everybody, and we still got 6 minutes. Producer Clark tells me that's a lot of time in the television business, I'll tell you. We got a lot to get to. Overtime is brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes, and they are asking you to sign up online. It's the easiest thing for everybody for their summer hockey camps for kids. For all ages, all categories, just go check them out. OvertimeHL.ca, where skill and hockey collide. Skill and fun collide. And hockey. Three things. 28th Street Northeast in Cowtown. So to the text line, we're quite a few here. Darcy in Grand Prairie writes in 902-518-3033 for Sober Carpenter. Darcy says 100% Theo belongs in the Hall of Fame. And I'm not, at this stage of the game, I'm not apologizing for my thoughts on this. Until Theo gets in, I'm just not that interested in the Hall of Fame because he deserves to be in there, not only more than this year's class of any of those guys and gals, but of anybody that's in there. And I stick up for my friends. Call me crazy. Bomber Boy in Calgary writes in and he says, hey, Rod, what's your favorite baseball play to call? When I get talking about the baseball, people enjoy it. So I'm calling games in the Western Canadian Baseball League, which is a pretty high-level baseball league on Home Team Live. And the double play is definitely my favorite to call. Not home runs, Bomber Boy, and I'll tell you why. Part of it is because I need new glasses. Also partly because the lighting isn't great, especially if it's a night game. So it's hard to tell whether the ball got out or not. And I'm going by the outfielder's reaction. Was it fair? Was it foul? Did it get over the fence? I get stressed when there's a deep one. Plus depth perception. Ones that I thought was out of the stadium ends up being a fly to shallow center. And so I don't like home runs at all. Double plays are a lot of fun, especially when Bobby Picorni turns it from short because he's got Bobby biceps. Alan writes in from Lampman Sask. Okay. He says, hey, Rod, not show-related. Just talking about, am I going to go back for the Stanley Cup parade in Florida? I still haven't decided, but my guess is I probably won't. It's chaos in South Florida right now. Sheer chaos. And the flights haven't been easy out of here to go there and highly expensive. But I appreciate Alan writing in. He says, hey, Rod, there's a direct flight from Bismarck to Orlando or Tampa with Allegiant Airlines. Granted, tougher times and only certain days. Saturday evening flight to Florida, Wednesday afternoon back to Bismarck for $280 US round trip. Basic economy, but affordable. It's another option. For sure, but do you want to know? I don't mind saying now. We bought a home in South Florida, and when I left Florida, we hadn't done all the paperwork yet, and I just said, they said, hey, listen, you go to Canada, we can do this all over the phone. I get up here. And they're like, yeah, we said that we were going to do that, but now we're not, so you're going to have to come back here. What? So that was stressing me out like a month ago. So I was talking to Serena yesterday. I'm like, should I do this or not? She's like, you weren't going to, it was a pain in the ass to come back and sign. You ended up not having to do that. Why would you come back now for a parade? I'm still torn. And listen, I get what you're saying about Orlando and Tampa, but look at a map. That's a long ways away from where we are. And but then there's DuPont saying, what's once in a lifetime? That's true, too. So I haven't totally closed the door on it. Rob, regarding the most watched game in Stanley Cup playoff history being 2013, I was like, what was so special then? Rob writes in, he says, 2013 short season because of the lockout, so people might have been hungry for hockey. Still don't remember it being hugely special, but again, 2013 I was kind of busy doing football. Call me crazy for focusing on the task at hand at that time. I wasn't really following NHL or hockey that much. I was focused on my job, which was the Canadian Football League. Sports update, 7'4" center Zach Edey of Toronto is expected to hear his name called in the first round of tonight's NBA draft in Brooklyn. Edey is projected to be selected around the number 15 spot. He led Purdue to the NCAA March Madness title game last year. From the Canadian Elite Basketball League, they announced today that the league will expand their regular season to a 24-game format in 2025, increasing from 100 games to 120 total regular season games next summer. In addition, the season will start approximately 1 week earlier next year in early May and will end in late August. Sports update is for Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, the Garfield movie. Garfield has an unexpected reunion with his long-lost father, a scruffy street cat who draws him into a high-stakes heist. Now playing, check landmarkcinemas.com for showtimes. And the Saskatchewan Rattlers, they are home Saturday night to the Niagara River Lions, and if I don't find myself in Florida, pretty sure I'll find myself there. The Raptors are led by former Raptor Jalen Harris and their LA Clippers experienced coaching staff. Get your tickets now at Ticketmaster or the Rattlers front office in downtown Saskatoon. So, Clint Black tonight. Try not to bitch. Try to find the good things, everybody. And a big thank you to Jersey Jim, Darrin Bauming, Jason Hajdu, and most of all you for tuning in. Take care of yourself and most importantly, each other. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Who has more fun than us?